Cool.
So basically, this is my first time doing online session.
Huh.
So I'm pretty nervous about like how all this works. But
It'll be fine. I did some 5, 6 on Riverside
okay,
uh, last in the summer, abhi June, May. So
okay,
it was pretty good because it's very, their system is very risk free because even if the internet drops, your recording will not get
all
affected.
right.
So,
So I'll just give an introduction, and
okay.
we can begin then.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Mixed Masala with TG. I'm Tenzin Gopal, and we have a lovely guest, Ambika from Bangalore, right?
No, Udaipur.
And also from Udaipur.
Yes.
Okay, nice. And yeah, she's also known as AKA Computational Mama, which is a really cool name. I think that kind of got my attention. Like, that's a really cool name because I have a friend that is Funk Blue. So, yes, namaste, very good morning from Baroda. And yeah, let's get into it. Can you give us some introduction about yourself?
Cool. Do you want the long one or the short one?
Uh, I think long one is good.
Okay, so I was in design college in NIFT in Delhi, and I was designing museums after that for almost 10 years. And but I always had some kind of interest in trying something with computers, and my father would tell me, "Acha, chal ye piche, go and put the wires in, and like help me fix up the
Okay.
computer." So I always had like a nerdy outlook towards technology and excited about it. But of course, with design, I never
Was
pursued
it
it.
something?
Sorry,
Was it like
sorry.
okay? Was it something
Oh,
the gigs aspect?
was it something?
Was
Sorry, I
it
didn't.
something that you wanted to do when you were really young, or was it
Yeah,
something
yeah.
when you?
When I was super little, when the computer was basically like my mom is a designer, so it was a shared asset in the house. It was not common for homes
Okay.
to have computers. It was bought on loan because she needed it for her office work. So when she wasn't working on it, we
Mm-hmm,
could
mm-hmm.
use it for a little while like that. It was, so we it had that game, Prince of Persia and Dave 2D, and I don't even know those, like people
Road
know about
rash.
those. Road Rash, oh my god, yeah. And then my friends would come over. Basically, they would take over the computer. So, but it was good fun. But it gave me like a very early access to a computer and what can be done on it. So anyway, so then I got into design, and then 10 saal, I just 10 years, I just did a lot of museum project management, design, art direction, films, art direction, um, all things museum. Like I became a go-to person in that sense. And then 2017, I was expecting my son Yugen. He's going to be 5 on Monday, and he was
Oh,
giving me a lot of trouble in the third trimester before he was born even. So I had to
okay,
be
okay.
on bed rest, and then I started looking at coding train Daniel Schiffman, his videos. So
Yeah,
that's how
yeah.
I started my journey, and that's also how the name kind of was came up, because before that, obviously, I was not a mother or anything. And then I just started posting stuff on Instagram. I didn't tell anybody, and in those days, Instagram still gave
Mm-hmm.
you some organic kind of friendships, and that's how I became friends with Koparzi and Praveen Impolite and a couple of other people like Time Blur, Natasha, and
Okay.
Mike. And it was really exciting. And then Koparzi invited me for Algorave. This all pre-COVID. So this was
Uh-huh.
like going on the side, and I was continuing my work and all that. And it was very much fun. Like your PCD happened, and then I went with my son. So it was really nice, like to kind of be in a space where I could be accepted and so could my offspring, because I couldn't leave him anywhere. And it's sometimes difficult to access these spaces when you have a small child. So they were super cool, and they helped me managing him when I was doing something, or if I had to help in a workshop. So it was a lot of fun. And then of course the pandemic hit, and then really computational mama story started, and Ambika Joshi just like died a very quick and sudden death, because all museum work stopped, and all the projects that we had going, everything just everyone just pulled out. So I was like penniless basically. And I started, some young person from a design college, they approached me and said, Didi, can you please teach me coding? So I said, okay. And then I got like maybe 4 or 5 other women whom I knew were interested in coding. Anisha, Soumya Kharbanda, Nanditi, my work partner. Subhani was also there in it. And then we started this format called Recreating with P5GS, which is a riff of Zach Lieberman's Recreating with Code, where he encourages you to learn coding through recreating computational works of the past. So, like really good artists like Vera Molnar and Soul Levitt and all. So I was like, okay, but where is the Indian representation in this? And obviously there wasn't, because we probably didn't have access to computers as artists in those days. So you can tell me if you want me to stop, or like, because I can really go on.
No,
So
because I, I mean it because I myself, like, it was around, I think, the year 2000. The Be Fantastic. So
yeah,
they had a fellowship,
yeah,
and apparently, like now with a lot of the podcasts that I do, I keep finding myself talking about this fellowship, uh, because it somehow got me back to like my geek wala side. I mean, I had always been very much attracted to building things, taking down whatever machine it is. You will have remote control cars when you were young, and I'll take them apart and then try to see how they work and things like that. I'd always been very much into electronics, but then after joining fine arts, I somehow got lost, you know,
yeah,
because sculpture in itself was very new for me. And when you come to an environment where everybody is into proper
yeah,
visual art practice, you also kind of get focused into that. So for 7 years I was just into that, and then the COVID hit, and suddenly I find myself with limitations. There's limitations of materials. I cannot go out to buy. I cannot. Uh, Again, I think it was a similar scenario all over the world, where people can't earn, and so I had to find ways to, like, make do with making art or creating something. And because that's the only possible thing you could have. uh, Everybody was in that position, like, what to do, ab kya kar sakta hai. So you had a huge surge of people doing a lot of social media things, because internet tha aur phone tha logon ke paas, so they were doing that. And for us it was like, what can we do? And this opportunity, I mean, I understand it was a very unfortunate event that happened, but I think for a lot of the creative people it was a like an opportunity also, to actually be in one space for a long period and try to figure out what to do now. And that's how I started getting into coding. I'm just a beginner now, and I'm also following the page that you had just mentioned before, coding train.
yeah,
So, and yeah, and I think it was this fellowship from Be Fantastic that actually opened up a totally new space for me, where I got to know that I can use my sound, because I'm a musician also. So it's so nice to now think about how I can fuse the music aspect and generative art together, and have that performative element where I am playing, so when this opened up, I think it was totally I'm still starting. I'm just like getting into it. Started working with touch designer, also working with P5 P5J. uh, I think I lost
P5
you.
P5Gs. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I
that's why,
muted because there's a little bit of noise. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I
and
think
that's
it
why
was.
I think it was.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think it's I think
No,
it
no,
was
no.
one
It's
of
fine. It's fine.
the reasons why I got connected to you, and even our common friend Hassan. He mentioned you a lot. The last time I was in Goa, I had met him. We planned to do a podcast together, but then
Oh, nice.
due to time limitations, we were unable to. But we did have a very good conversation about what he does, what he wants to do, and how technology can also be a tool. It can be used as a
Yeah.
tool, and I've heard so much about you also. So you know, so I also, when I heard that you were actually not into this before, it was only after a certain time that you got into, and the journey since then has been like, I think, for you very fascinating to see how you started, and what were the challenges that you were facing at that time. And as a person from design background, how do you utilize this as a tool for your expression, and so on,
Yeah.
please.
So, sorry about that. So, I think it's very interesting this question because with museums, no, it's like always like 5 year, 10 year timelines to finish the work, and many times I would be like intensely very hyper focused, like how it is in art school, also like
Hmm.
into the work, like everything about the museum I'm managing everything, but
So
it's
were you
taking
like
longer
archiving?
than sorry.
Was it like archiving?
No, it was more like first I started in the art direction part. So like at the production level, I was managing, say like the senior designer's vision to be translated back, and there was a lot of craft intervention in that. So there was a big project in Punjab called Virasate Khalsa. So I was part of the first phase of building that. So there it was like jo bhi kaam diya, you just whatever work they gave you, you did. Like if one day it meant making a Excel sheet, you did it. If one day it meant sitting with the artist, you did it. If third day it meant doing Photoshop, you did it. So it was just like this kind of, and with museum work it's very addictive because it's like every day you're learning something new, you're interacting with people from different fields. Someday you're
Mhm,
with the PWD
mhm.
officer, someday you're with an artist, someday with a poet. So it's so exciting, all the time you're just like meeting people, and it's like it's very enriching, but it takes very long. It takes you like 5 years, 10 years to build. Virasti Khalsa itself as a project has taken almost 20 years to start off. So imagine that kind of a timeline. So there's like
Yeah.
no gratification immediately, and by the time things are ready, you're so sick of it, you don't even want
Mhm.
to see it. So there have been times when I've done projects, and the day the ribbon was cut, I left. I never saw the project after that because I was so exhausted by that journey. But with coding, it was so different because, like, do one thing here and then immediately you have a result, and do one thing here. So that instant gratification was something I really needed, both in terms of my project work, but also like I was really stuck because I was a new mom who couldn't go to site,
Uh-huh.
and my life, which was like, I was in the office space for 16 hours. Even if I wasn't in the space, I was project managing from home on a phone or a
And you
computer.
were there in Udaipur at that
No,
period.
I've been all over Delhi, Bangalore.
Okay.
Then I delivered in Udaipur. Then I was in Jaipur for another museum project. So in all of it, I was like, okay, but where is my identity? Like, because museum mein, I'm just one cog, and at home I'm just a mom now, and everything is directed to the focus is all on the child.
Mhm.
And the coding was really amazing because like in between, sending out an email to office, and in between the diaper change I could just make one small sketch and put it up. And for me that was something I had never been able to do as a creator, because long bada project, bada idea, bada BOQ bana rahe, like we were at that level, we were making bill of quantities, contracts, we were like doing all of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
in, and all those projects were in crores. So I was like dealing with that scale, and here
Oh,
I
oh.
just made something in a P5Js editor, and it gave me
So how did
something
it click?
amazing.
When did
I
it
don't
click
know.
to
It's just
you?
like it just happened when I was expecting, and I was trying all this stuff on coding train, because I had time. I was on bed rest. I couldn't work, so it just gave me like focus to just be
Mm-hmm.
able to do all of that. Maybe that's the last time I slept, I think, in 2017. So yeah, so even now, much of my practice, like it's very common to have a practice where you're sitting whole day thinking about your work, being able to kind of take one idea and take it to a level, take a year even. But I don't have that liberty anymore. I have to be
Mm-hmm.
really quick on my feet and think of projects in a very iterative way. So code really suits that nature of being able to tweak it, make it better, put it out there, and like not feel and not feel apologetic. With a sculpture or an
Mm-hmm.
installation, once it's up, you have to, like, it has to be perfect, right? There's no room for
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah.
The mistakes, but the visitor cannot. There's no room for the visitor to point things out, or the person experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With technology, I feel like there's a little bit more room to do that, where you can try something very simple and still people are amazed and excited, and
And
they are
probably
more.
because
Sorry, yeah.
it's entirely a new space, this
Very, very
this scope
likely,
of
like,
internet itself, and
yeah,
technology. I mean, we have been having technology since quite some time. I mean, I still remember when I was a kid, we had that Garaso mobile, Nokia, and internet was just beginning there, and BSNL, you had to have that landline phone, and then only you can get internet connection, so I used to try and figure out, like, how I can download stuff and things like that. And I was already using YouTube at that time, and it was there, but I think maybe only certain amount of people had access to it, in terms of the hardware, and
yeah,
also in terms of like knowing what it does, what it's
right,
supposed to do.
yeah,
And for me, I was very fortunate through my mom. I got to have this access. And but now the technology is like truly booming so much, so that we are having 5G in some time. And I think they have already started doing some experiments in
yeah.
tryouts in some places.
Hmm.
And everyone has a mobile, and everybody knows कि अब कुछ भी करना है, यूट्यूब में जा सकता है, गूगल में जा सकता
Exactly.
है, and so it was like use this entire new space, and I think I was also not aware, like, I mean, we are all using it, but then, like, at the same time, we are not aware of what is possible there also. And again, like, after this fellowship program, I think it just, wow, like इसमें तो बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, and we have like the basic laptop, and internet is there, so it's possible. And the point that you had mentioned about, how you can do some coding here, and then you have something, right, on the side, this instant result coming out, I think that also plays a big part in this role.
Yeah.
So could you like tell us more about how, you know when you were when you started out, were you thinking of like actually making something, or was it in like, just experimenting, having fun with the tool, and
I think it was very much
mostly.
just exploring and experimenting and learning and failing. I think I've crashed my system so many times with just very one line of code. So, and that's what, even in the workshops, I always add it as one line, that you, unless you start crashing, you're not like going back to the level to learn. So like it's because you learn from a mistake, and if it's just a small mistake that's just going to restart your computer, I think it's worth it. So and I was always trying this kind of stuff. I burnt a laptop because I was trying to make it dual boot, like with Linux. And my more like expert kind of technological friend, he was like, yeah, 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 put the and he didn't know what kind of random laptop I had, and it burnt. The motherboard went like black.
Oh my God.
So, but I didn't regret it. I was like, okay, this makes me understand that maybe I need a computer where I need some kind of Linux or Apple where I can use the terminal. And my needs were already kind of shifting before Yugen was born. So
Hmm.
uh, keeping that in mind, it was just me like trying to learn about my computer, like as a collaborator, as a friend. And one thing that always like even like I've been trying processing since 2010, and I failed so badly, but I just met my husband. That's all that happened in that workshop. It was a processing workshop.
Okay.
We didn't learn anything, we just met each other and we got we got married. So but what really struck me after learning it properly was that because we are already very visual, and we have a very strong imagination as designers or artists. If you, and code works in a little bit of a different methodology. So there's that little bit of a hump, and if you cross that, you love code. But if you are not able to cross that, and you're not able to imagine how it's collaborating with you, you leave it. So like then you'll
Hmm.
think that, oh,
Hmm.
what is this? Just six circles, right? I can just do this in Illustrator. Why do I need code for this? But but what it's setting you up to do later is that you're learning how to use a loop, you're learning how to use random, things that will not happen automatically on Illustrator. Things that if I needed to say, even this curtain in your background, it has this like
Hmm.
random noise kind of thing happening. If I had to do this by hand, you know very well how much time it would take in software. Like, you're like pushing one pixel here, and that pixel pushing really like I find that to be such a wasteful exercise. Just like I know, I mean, a
Hmm.
lot of people do it, but I just find that यार मैं ऐप तो फिर भी तुम्हारा यूज कर पा रही हूँ ना, तो तुम्हारा बटन एक पिक्सल इधर है उधर है, तो like it shouldn't matter. But anyway, so for me it was just that exploration and like seeing where I could take it. But now it's at a place where I feel I've stopped using Illustrator altogether, because I'm able to like express myself a little bit more visually in code, and find that the generative idea is something we even for our studio, Jaipur,
Hmm.
we like to push quite a lot, like whether it's through processing or P5JS or any other software, that tool that we use, to be able to it's like that, just that right amount of randomness that you would allow, say, if you were an art director to an artist. Now,
Hmm.
you give the vision, but eventually the artist will do it in their own format, and you have to
Okay.
give them that leeway.
Uh-huh.
You have to like trust them in that way. So if you can trust a person to do it, I feel like computer is also a collaborator, and you can trust them. And if you give the wrong
Hmm.
instruction, a human will also crash and computer will also crash. It's just that, it's just a different language, that's it. So
Yeah.
so that's what I always tell people, that you don't have to think of it as a collaborator. Even a younger collaborator with whom you really have to be, very patient, and like you have to help them understand things. And with especially with AI, I find that to be much truer, where it's like a kid. It's really like a kid. It's still learning, it's still figuring things out, it's making mistakes. And
Hmm.
of course there's a lot of like unethical stuff happening now with all this image stuff and all, but uh, the essence of machine learning and artificial intelligence is still very much based on this idea of learning, like how they say reinforced learning. Now
Yeah.
reinforced learning
Yeah.
is, it's like teaching a child number, na? Like 1 2 3 4 esa a b c d whatever. So you're reinforcing those ideas, so those notions,
Hmm.
like those that language, that grammar is coming from basic learning of humans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can make that parallel, then you should be able to make the parallel that it is also a being. in some way,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not
Mm-hmm.
sentient but
Mm-hmm.
still a being. So that's where I'm at now, to be able to
And when
have.
you started out, you were telling, you had also mentioned, how in that period, in past few years back, when you started sharing it, on social media pages, and Instagram at that time had organic sort of growth happening. How was the reaction then, and what kind of people did you come across, and what sort of interactions did you
Oh my God,
collaborate
it
at
was
that
the
time?
best. It was the best because it was all before the stupid NFT nonsense. I'm sorry if you're into it, but I find it to be, I just find it to be really upsetting as a
We'll
culture.
talk a little bit about NFT after some
Yeah,
time.
it's more of a, for me, that culture is a bit intolerable almost. But
Yeah,
in
yeah.
general, like, it was more of a, most of the people in that creative coding community were coming from different backgrounds. Some were, somebody's an engineer, somebody's designer, somebody whatever, somebody self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
So people like Hassan and Koparzi Abhinay, Praveen, we were just like conversing. They were like, "Hey, what's this? Like, what can I do better here? Can you help me here?"
Mm-hmm.
And then when we all met at PCD, I don't know if Hassan was there then, but he definitely knew Abhinay. So we started doing these Sunday meetups where, these guys, they would talk about the new stuff that they are learning, or maybe somebody did a learning session. And many times, I would listen to it on the phone because, like, my kid was with me and COVID was so bad for like parents. But it was like this little escape. But it was really interesting because, it was a very encouraging environment. And even now, like, I can really bank on them if I'm stuck. I don't have to think twice about asking any of them, okay, I'm stuck here, can you help me out? And perhaps not anymore in code, even in real life, I may be able to, like, if I say I'm stuck in physically
Mm-hmm.
also, they make somebody might come and help me. So that community was very focused on sharing. It brought the best parts of creative communities, and it brought the best parts of technology communities. Open
Mm-hmm.
sourceness from technology, sharing from technology, and the creative aspects from the creative communities. So, sometimes it does happen that people from creative backgrounds are a bit closed about how, what their techniques are, or how they are achieving this,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
naturally
Mm-hmm.
it's their livelihood. So for example, Zach Lieberman, he never shares his code.
Okay.
He'll never share his code. He teaches. He says, "I will teach you, but I will not share my code specifically." And I feel that's very valid. It's like his art. Na? It's like Anish Kapoor having a special black. How is that different?
Yeah.
So so that openness was really nice, to be able to find those resources, like Zach's entire, like, recreating from with the past, whole series is on GitHub, so you can just like learn, read, and or whether it's Abhinay putting out stuff about Hydra or estuary and things like that. It's, and that each set of communities has a mix of people, which is really, like, diversity always like helps in the
Mm-hmm.
growth of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice. It was amazing. It was, I was feeling that kind of encouragement, which I felt like maybe I had never perhaps got as a creator, especially coming from a design background. Uh, and it like really helped me to push myself and like see where I fit into all of it and feel confident about what I'm doing.
And
Which
I
I
and I
think,
think
sorry, huh?
uh, I think like because I follow you in Instagram and Facebook, so much of the things that you do, I know from just this social media, and I think even your son is really enjoying like the kind of setups that you have now. I've seen like wow, and you also do electronic, what do you
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it,
yeah. I spent a lot of
right?
time last year doing that because I think, or was it, when was the second wave? 21?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
2021.
So like somewhere mid 21, I started in the summer, and I'm still looking at it because I feel like it's such an interesting world, and like if I can find a way to like bridge
Ah.
P5 with electronics, it would be so beautiful. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy. It's very challenging with a child also, like, soldering iron. You can't do that work when he's around, or like I
Mm-hmm.
can't,
Mm-hmm.
I can't leave little, LEDs or buttons around because he's just gonna
Yeah.
whack them or get hurt. So I kind of had to like tone down that stuff. But for me, it was very interesting to see what's possible, how easy it is now. Like there's so much like resource to do it. And I'm really enjoying. A lot of people are now putting, after COVID, things are open, no? So now they're putting up their own things like with Raspberry Pis and
Mm-hmm.
Arduinos and whatever. And that's always been an,
Which one do you use?
right now, like I've been between, like I've always had one Raspberry Pi with me since the very beginning. Somebody has always gifted me one.
Okay.
I never bought one. uh, and I've also, like the last year I started using the RP2040, which is a microcontroller by the Raspberry Pi people, which is a Python based
Okay.
microcontroller. That has been very interesting because it allows you to do like human interface devices, like like have little buttons or key
Ah.
buttons and things. So it's like you are able to use like keep simple things like P5J's key pressed, but you don't need a keyboard
Okay.
anymore. It's like a little button somewhere else. So just to
Okay.
have that simple channel through has been interesting. And Raspberry Pi is always like, it's my, I love them, but I don't know how to use them. Like I tried all
Okay.
sorts of crazy things on them, built servers on them, you know, logging into SSH. Now I think I can do it in my sleep. I never thought I would be able to, but I can. And
Okay.
so it's been very interesting. So now I really want to see, maybe like to try some of these little AI, those AI animations, maybe on little screens, to see
Wow.
what that would look like. I don't know, just trying. But
Yeah, I've been also just because one thing leads to other
yeah,
another, and then you start seeing like, oh my God, this is also possible. This is also a possibility, and for me, because uh, yeah, like because I play, right, and I have a very small MIDI keyboard,
hmm,
and I was like, this synth, they are very expensive. I mean, this MIDI information that I have to connect to my laptop, and then there are special requirements, and you don't actually have like Indian made synth. These are all foreign countries and very damn expensive.
true.
And so I started looking into like how it's actually made. How do you get a synth made? And that's how I came across Arduino and Raspberry Pi and things like that. And and then I was just again surfing in the web, and got to know that root of all this is, of course, you have the microprocessors, controllers, but then again you need coding. You need to have coding. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is maybe spend few years just learning about coding
Yeah.
and touch design, because it does not require to be online all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
With PJ5 I have to have
Yeah. You have to have
internet going
internet.
on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so and I think touch designer also uses Python
Hmm.
language. So in some ways I think it's little bit more simple than Java and C++, like all these other
Yeah.
languages.
Yeah.
At least for me, like I know, okay, I need 5 6 codes.
Yeah.
I'll search them in internet, and then I'll use them in my
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
parameters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and the bridge, how it can come from, like, so I'm trying to now have a image, and with different, because the image is all based on RGB. So I try to have all these are the red and the green and the blue uh, parameters in like different notes or frequencies, and try and experiment. I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
and
It's very exciting. Like do you know sound codes? Akash, this guy
I think
Akash.
he did some, he performed somewhere, I think this time Algrave or somewhere.
I'm not certain, but he's been building. He's built two synths already, which he sells at a very nominal
Okay.
cost.
Okay.
But maybe not so much production because obviously he's doing it all on his own. But I
Okay.
think you should connect with him also.
What's his
He's
name? Akash?
I don't know his last name, but he goes by sound codes. He stayed in my house, and I don't know his last name. He and his partner were stayed in my house for 3 days, but I don't know his last name. But that's how this community is, like,
Yeah.
it's very like, okay, ठीक है, आ रहे हो, अच्छा, आ जाओ, like that. So,
Ha.
and really, like, so many times I've met with these people whom I've only known online, and it's still been like we've known each other forever. Like, yesterday I spoke to Jason and Ophelia. I've never met them, and they just
Okay.
video called me, and we had such a great conversation. So, it's really nice, this strange, like, internet friend community around creative coding.
So when
So,
now that you are actually into this field, and for me also, I think I can also express similar experience. Having this, it's not a conflict, but it's, the visual artist and like the fine art people, who are doing the traditional sculpture, painting, artworks, and then you have the coders now. They are doing everything using technology. I think there's always some sort of, how do you say,
friction.
yeah, there's some sort of friction. I think, I've been trying to, whenever there's some residency coming up, and I know that they are into more of a traditional practice and things like that. I, still type in my proposal, and usually it's something to do with audio reactive, because that's the area for now I can do something, execute, and no response at all. And I've been trying for so many grants and residencies, but there's some friction, and the visual, you know they, do you
Yeah.
experience similar, you know
So, quite honestly, like, my pre-coding practice was not focused so much on like myself individually, because I was always part of a larger team working on a vision and things. So I can definitely say that there are only very few, but I know it closely because my partner husband is also a artist. So yeah, definitely there is a, I think it's more than anything, like, for the grant givers, they don't understand the technology. A few
Mm-hmm.
of them who are like accepting it are probably accepting it because of the trends in terms of the uh, buyers, like India Art Fair and things like that, which are sort of more forward in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
to who's buying. So, and if they know that, okay, NFT is the market or digital is the market, they are a bit more forward with it. But obviously, they are not the ones who are benevolently giving money to artists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the artist grantors, so obviously, they are a little bit behind on all of this. Uh, we can't help it. Like, it's just like, hota hai, like, there is, so I don't know what your age is, but like, I also meet people who are maybe say 10 years
I'm
younger to me.
29. I'm
29. Okay, so you're closer to my age. I'm 34. But I meet people who are like in the early 20s, and their outlook is so interesting and exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's up to the older generation to accept the new thing.
Yeah.
Like, so there are people who do that. There are many people in the older generation who will accept
Mm-hmm.
something new and exciting, but obviously that they are few and far between. But really, it's very difficult. Like, of course, like, Be Fantastic is one of the few places where, even that's where my start happened. I was in the 2020 fellowship, and I really was able to see myself as an artist who's using technology, which was something which I was not accepting until that fellowship. I just couldn't accept it. I
Okay.
was like, okay, I'm a creator and maybe I do a little bit of code. It was just not in my imagination to think of myself as an artist who uses technology. And
Mm-hmm.
that really, like, gave me that kind of confidence and lift. And they were also so, like, I think being online was so useful for me because I cannot apply to things that are offline. I cannot go
Mm-hmm.
for a
Mm-hmm.
2-month residency to Space Studio in Baroda. I just can't do it because my kid is too small, right? So I can have the best idea and the curator can love me, but I can't do it.
This is
So
this is very interesting, because I was um, doing my residency here in Space Studio, because I stay in Baroda, and at that time it was the first time
there,
I
yeah.
did a audio visual reactive sort of performance there, and yeah, the response was like not so what I expected. I mean, like, and plus because I was focusing more on the industrial sounds. So I
Mm-hmm.
had recorded live sounds from different places, from all the places that I was traveling during the COVID time,
Mm-hmm.
and so you just have silence everywhere. But then there's different silences because I play around with the filters and compressions and things like that, and you start getting different white noises around,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I kept some beats and melody that I had composed, and so I got like before the exhibition time, they told me that I have like around 30 minutes time to perform. So I was super excited because my piece, I knew that it was actually for like 10 minutes piece, but then because you can play with the parameters along, while you're performing, so you
Yeah.
have one note going on and you can play around and then you can do a lot of different things, right? And and I don't have a synth. I
Hmm.
just have a normal MIDI keyboard,
Hmm.
and so somehow I had mapped everything and like whatever. It's just full experimentation, and so I was like, okay. But then there was a speaker in front before me who was talking about some documentation that he had done, and that stretched for more than an hour. So basically, it took my time,
Ah.
and and then when I saw the audience's face, number one, most of them were super senior artists. And the second was everybody was, I think, tired. When artists they give lectures, you want to keep it short
It's
and
exhausting. Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, so
Sorry.
you
Yeah.
had this like, so you had all these people really exhausted, and I was also exhausted because I just wanted to go do and then get done with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, I would just gone up. I didn't say anything to anyone about what I was doing, nothing. I just went there and I started playing. Suddenly, you have like this full electronic industrial sound going on everywhere. People were just like shocked. And then after 15 minutes, I just shut down everything and I'm out of the studio. Like, so,
Good.
I mean,
Nice.
it's yeah, I think somewhere down the line it's challenging for the coming up generation that are coming up, who are working with technology, with AI, machine learning, that coming into these sort of spaces and trying to go along with the other art practice people, it's pretty challenging, don't
Yeah.
you think? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I only know it externally, quite honestly. I don't understand the market too well, art market, but I think it's like every generation has its own
yeah.
challenge, right? So it's just that, and then I'm sure there are कुछ लोग तो होते हैं ना, like who understand and like are both appreciative of new things, who
Mm-hmm,
get it,
mm-hmm,
who understand, okay, this is the way technology can be used, or this part of the practice is interesting, or for example, I met someone who's from a photography practice, curator है वो, थोड़े थोड़े हमसे उम्र में बड़े हैं, but he didn't understand the tech part, but it was very easy for him to catch on the feminist parts of it. It was easy for him to catch on what I'm doing with my practice, how it works out. So
mm-hmm,
it's really like it's a mix of those things. But quite honestly, like it is so much, sometimes so much about luck. It's about our privilege. It's about how we can explain ourselves, where we get to explain, what opportunities we get
mm-hmm.
eventually. So, and this is a constant struggle. We'll always think that, oh, hamara, whatever we are doing is nobody gets it. Sometimes I don't even like to explain. If
Yeah.
regular people ask me, what do? I just say I design websites. I don't tell them what I do. I'm like, I cannot explain to them what I'm doing and then try to explain to them how much money I have and all that nonsense. So I've just
Mm-hmm.
started to say that I make websites now. I just sit at
Okay.
home and I have a young child, so I've started to do web design, which for them is like very stark because they are still able to imagine museum design.
Mm-hmm,
और तब
mm-hmm,
तब
mm-hmm.
5-6 साल में वो करती थी ना, तब किसी को नहीं पता था वो, तो तब मैं कहती थी मैं इंटीरियर डिजाइन करती हूँ.
Oh.
So like वही बात है, like how much do you want to tell people versus how much they understand versus what do you like, do you want to sit around explaining or do you want to do the work? So like I am of the
Mm-hmm,
second this thing, and I observe it that without me having to say it, people are drawn to the work. So I
mm-hmm,
don't I I'm my messaging is clear now because I understand my trajectory a bit more and I know what I like and what I don't like. So I'm clear. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm saying. Whoever comes. If you don't understand it, it's okay. Maybe someday you will when you become a parent and you have to watch somebody's shit.
Mhm.
So it's fine. You know. So it's okay. It's like that notion that I have been pushing for of being a person who is first a primary carer and then a creator is
Mhm.
something I am very clear about now, and I understand it in a very specific way because I've not just cared for my child, but I've also looked after my grandparents at some points.
Mhm.
And emotionally, I look after my mom because she doesn't have a partner. My father passed away some years ago. So for me, that notion of care is much stronger in my life, and that practice of caring is more important to me than the work.
Mhm.
Because if my family is not well, if my family is not in a position to feel comfortable, how can I continue a practice? So
Right.
for me, like there's a very nice podcast. Maybe you will enjoy it. It's a very famous portrait artist called Amy Sherrill. She was became very
Okay.
famous for portraits of Obama and Michelle Obama and later of Obama. Barack Obama.
Mhm.
And her trajectory started at 38, but because before that she herself had heart disease, she was looking after an aunt. So her only practice was she was going to a restaurant as a waitress, and she sometimes was able to paint, right? And everyone has their own path and like life trajectory. So somebody's doing amazing stuff at 29, somebody's doing it at 34, somebody did it at 5 only. So
Mhm.
and like so it's all our trajectories, how we handle it, really. And that podcast was very nice because it spoke about care in a very like loose context, but still you could understand where she's coming from, where like you know वो नहीं कर सकती थी practice उसको.
Mhm.
She had to
Mhm.
look after her family member, or she was in hospital herself. So in that context, how do you practice? So
Mhm.
it's really like just that. And I think drawing from that idea of your own space, which is always like a very common thing that people say in art, or draw from your own practice and your own life. For me now, I find that to be very truthful. Like, I think the reason they
Mhm.
say it is because it lets you speak truthfully. And I
Mhm.
think that is the core of doing any kind of creative work, right? To be honest and truthful, whatever that truth might be. Like if you're looking at
Mhm.
larger environmental level or political or whatever that might be, or something as simple as whatever I'm doing.
I believe
So
what
uh,
you shared now is very important, actually, because I think it's after this conversation that I now kind of get the idea of the latest works that you were doing with AI,
mhm.
and how you were projecting also the concept of woman or mother working. You know, could you elaborate a little bit more?
Wow, you're
Share
so good
a
at
little
like
bit
navigating
this.
the questions. I'm so impressed.
I don't know. There's
Amazing
no
sense when
script
you're
or
you're doing.
anything. There's no script
Yeah,
or
I
anything.
know,
We
but you're so good
just
at it.
is it okay? Like,
Yeah, it's really nice the way
because
you're
it.
navigating
I
it.
mean, this is a very organic conversation happening.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I do. But
That's
because
really cool.
it's because how you now shared the story, I think it relates a lot to the recent works that you are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
And yeah, I think
yeah.
it would be really wonderful for the listeners to know about this.
That it was very much a fluke, quite honestly, because when I saw this AI stuff coming out, like of course that style gan and all, I think Hassan would have shown you also in the fellowship and everything, art breeder and all. But
Yeah.
I wasn't able to like really like click. It didn't click to me, and then I don't know. Somebody was like, "Okay, there's this new thing." Oh, I know. It was from your session only. Uma, you remember Uma and the Whale Tales guys?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was talking to Uma about it, and Uma, of course, doesn't have a technology background either. She's an artist. So she's like, we all were trying the VQ GAN, and the results that I was getting were very different from the other members. And then it struck me that they're all talking about whales only. Like, why is it so different? Like, what is it that she's doing. And then I thought, maybe is it like a simple guess was, is it just a gender thing, like is it just that? So then I started looking at it more and I was experimenting. And then mainly kya hai, like the main key thing about doing prompting in AI is knowing art history. And who knows that better than an art or a graphic design student, right? You have to like, it's like if you don't know it, they'll not even give you a degree maybe. So so you're forced to know it. So then it also made me feel like, oh, okay, so this is what it's all about. So let me see what happens if I give something very basic that I have to do as a carer on a daily basis, and map it to an artist's work.
Mm-hmm.
And the results were very interesting. And I was at that time reading a book which has now sort of become my Bible almost. I mean, in it's no way something that may resonate with you, but it's called Baby on the Fire Escape. So it's this really amazing book written by Judy Phillips, which has uh, not sorry, biographical excerpts from women artists' lives who were mothers, and
Okay.
how their practice was. So
Okay.
even the introduction is very like, if you imagine an artist in a studio, firstly you'll imagine it to be a man, then you'll imagine it to be like a space which is isolated, where they are with their work, where there's no disruption, where they are able to
Yeah.
work as long
Yeah.
as they want without anybody interrupting them. Whether that means it's like totally shit and nobody has done jadu, or whether that means that it's totally pristine.
Mm-hmm.
So everything in the environment is controlled by the artist, in their living environment, in their working environment. But as a mother, you never have that privilege. Even if my child is in school right now, even in this interview, he's still there. He's a really big part of my brain right now.
Yeah.
So, and the practice is very much interrupted constantly. you know
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when he's back from school and I'm working on something, I have to get up every minute to help him. Mummy, give me scissors. Mummy, give me this. Can you help me with this? Can you read this letter out to me? So and any parent would tell you, and parent kya, even if you have a grown up who's say like an elder or a nani dadi grandparent who's at your home, if you sit with them 5 minutes, you will see the same response. Okay, because they are also equally,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
physically, sometimes they can't do things. They
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
reach a cupboard. They can't open something. They can't put a button. So that micro control of your fingers, children and senior citizens of, like, say, super seniors 80 plus, very similar. Even
Mm-hmm.
mentally they start becoming similar. Anyway, so this interrupted practice was the entire sort of notion of the book. And Baby on the Fire Escape comes from uh, an anecdote from a chapter on Alice Neal, who was an artist, portrait artist, about how her family was like, oh, she's so much into her art, she'll leave her baby on the fire escape and still continue her painting. So
Okay.
notionally, that idea of a perfect mother is that she's always looking after the child.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as an artist, or even as a creator, even as a staff member in a like a corporate, I'm always going to be torn between my child and my work. and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll not believe how efficient as a professional I've become because of my child. Something I would take 8 hours, I can now bang it out in 2 hours, and it's not because I've become more experienced. It's purely because I know the bus is about to come, so I have to finish this work. I have no
Yeah.
choice. I cannot dilly dally. I have to do it because I have to still prove myself as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to say, hi, you have a kid, so just it's okay if you give it tomorrow. Everybody wants what they want right now. So and that's fine. I mean, it's like that's something we live with. So that whole idea of constantly having your brain somewhere else while your practice is going on, or not having those ideal spaces to work in. Like, the day before, I had put a picture, no, all of Yugen's toys were around me. Sometimes I
Yeah.
can't move my
Yeah.
chair. He will arrange his toys around me while I'm working. So, like, it's difficult for me even to lift out of this space. But it's interesting. It's like now I've learned how to, like, navigate through that thing. It's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
definitely it's become now part of what I'm talking about in my practice. And that's this baby on the fire escape really gave me that, because it has conversations with authors, writers, even Ursula Le Guin, the
Okay.
famous fantasy writer, or Audre Lorde, Alice Neal, of course, Loris Lessing. So you really, like, I got to see, okay, if they could do it, we can also do it. Yeah, we have more help also sometimes. So it was very nice to see that, because like sometimes it happens, like I'm making a note on my phone, I'm playing with
Mm-hmm.
Yugen, and maybe I can only action it 3 days later. you
Okay.
know there's
Mm-hmm.
no there's no like epiphany आया तो अभी कंप्यूटर
Ah.
खोल के चालू कर. Never, I cannot do that. And much of my workflow is like that, like I have half of it on an old laptop, half of it on this PC, half of it is on my phone. you know and I have to figure out a system that like allows me to traverse that, because sometimes he'll say, okay mama, today please come and sit with me in the other room, I want to play there. I don't want to stop
Mm-hmm.
working, so I just take an old laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So of course my practice gives me that privilege, that okay, I have a
Yeah.
laptop, so I can move around, whatever that might be, that I don't have to sit and sculpt something, or it's not dangerous for my child to be in my workspace. I'm
Yeah.
not like welding, or I'm not using some paint which is not safe for children, or whatever. But there are many times when he'll come and just bang on my computer and I lose the work. He's dropped my audio interface, brand new
Okay.
audio interface he's dropped. Sometimes he pushes the laptop because he doesn't realize he's small,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to live with those things, and that was what was really nice. So it's like you're mapping this space, like how Julie Phillips puts it, is between motherhood and creativity, there's a blank spot and people don't know about it. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can see me as a creator, but you may not see me as a mother. You may see me as a mother, but you may not see me as a creator. You know, for
Mm-hmm.
me to put out so much work, I sleep 4 hours, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but you still sleep 4 hours, right? As an artist. So, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to finish your work at 2:30, but no, you need to get up at 6 because you need to get your son ready for school? So,
Mm-hmm.
but what it really does for me, especially I feel now, it really grounds me. Like, I know, okay, what's my priority? I know this is how much I can do. I know that, okay, if someone invites me, come for a 1 day talk to India
Mm-hmm.
Art Fair, I can't go. No, I
Okay.
cannot go. Here is a number of another person. Please tell them. And I have to accept that I will not be
Mm-hmm.
speaking this time at India Art Fair. You know, my voice will not be heard. But they are not ready. People, places like that are not ready, because they are not saying that, yes, we know you are managing your child alone. So just come online. We'll put a screen. You join on Zoom. Nobody's saying that to me.
True.
you know
Exactly.
so they're like, अच्छा आ जाओ ना, एक दिन की बात है, we'll help you manage the child. No, you cannot help me manage my child, I'm sorry. It's not the same. I do not have the same privilege. I don't have a full-time staff member to look after my child. He's going
Mm-hmm.
to school, he needs to be in school. I can't just like pull him out and go take him wherever I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And in the art fair in the summer, it did happen that we were there. I was with you again, but I couldn't spend any time there because it was 42 degrees. So, you know, so I was very lucky because BF team was really good and they managed everything for us. But I couldn't network with people. Nobody knows me
Mm-hmm.
kaun hu,
Mm-hmm.
like, two and
Mm-hmm.
two of my pieces were there.
Okay.
But so but मैं किसी से नहीं मिली, किसको पता मैं वहां थी. Like, जंगल में मोर नाचा किसने देखा. So that, so which doesn't bother me
Yeah.
specifically personally, but I feel like there are many mothers out there who need that networking time, who need to be out there, who need to be able to give that kind of energy and time to do all that, but they may not get it. And sometimes it's just a mixture of our own guilt of leaving our children, uh, but many times it's because the spaces don't say and explicitly
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So even when I
Yeah.
apply to a residency, I first check, will they allow for my family to come? Is it more than a year? So I know that 1 year Yugen has to do school somewhere else. I have to check those
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
every opportunity that someone without a primary carer role gains is an opportunity that someone who's not in a primary care, who is in a primary care role is losing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
बिकॉज मैं नहीं अप्लाई कर सकती यार, और मेरे को स्टूडियो कोई यू नो रेजिडेंसी स्पेस ये नहीं बोल रही है कि अंबिका विल गिव यू दैट सेम बजट, यू डू इट एट होम.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is saying that. And I'm wondering why, because many places have women who are probably mothers themselves. So, like for
Mm-hmm.
me, this is always a very surprising.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes I feel, even though galleries are in positions to actually give the support that is needed, somewhere down the line, I think it's again like all about, I know this person, so we'll give the opportunity to them, and so on.
no, but the
it's like,
galleries know me. They're still not. They're still not
okay,
calling me,
okay,
right?
okay.
Because it's very simple. It's like, the face has to, person has to be there. No,
Hmm, 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 hmm.
like for them that's important, and I understand that because that's a logistical thing for them. They need to run their resources as well. But it's not like they don't want my voice. They want my work. They are excited about it because uh, e- everyone wants to talk about care economy now.
Hmm, 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 hmm,
Everyone
hmm,
wants to talk about it, especially after COVID. But
hmm, hmm.
you don't want to address the fact that a carer cannot move out of their
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
So it's fine. I mean, I get it. It's like
I think
10
I
साल
think
बाद पता पड़ेगा, ठीक है कोई
ये
नहीं.
ये फिर भी, and I think it's because of the internet, with the works that people do with generative artworks. Again, we have that possibility not to reach out globally.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Instagram, social media pages now. Everything is like everywhere. But then, in terms of, because uh, I was trained in sculpture, right? So तो अभी मैंने एक स्कल्पचर बनाया, तो उसके लिए अब जगह चाहिए. I cannot make it really
At
big
home.
because the
Yeah.
place that I stay is very small. I took it out as a temporary place before this COVID happened, and then I ended up living here for like now, I don't know how many years. But so with space you cannot do much also. और स्कल्पचर वगैरह पेंटिंग ये सब के लिए क्या है कि फिजिकल है, तो
Hmm.
you need that actual space.
Hmm.
Whereas in case of coding and things like that, it's a very different space. Virtual space
Yeah.
is there, and in that way it's very convenient, I would say.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think we still need to have galleries
Yeah.
uh, opening up to this world, because there are a lot of people who want to try it out, who are trying something, and I think with your recent work, using AI, right? You used AI,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And so we just want to talk a little bit like how you got into it. Like, were you coding some things and then you selected certain images? What was
Hmm.
process that you had gone through?
It it's more like for me again that voice to collaborate with the computer is important. So for
Okay,
me it's like how many mothers can you generate? Show me. That's
okay,
really the challenge I'm giving it. So I just started with simple terms like, okay, mother, give me a mother in. Then and the AI is also developing. So like, pehle only white mother used to come up in Dali and all this, but
okay.
now it's
White
changed.
mother means
Yeah, like
foreign,
a
like,
foreigner. But
yeah.
now it's changing. Now you see other colors and things also.
Mm-hmm.
Because notionally, even these things are very interesting. If I mean, I don't know if it'll interest you to read, but uh, in terms of practice, especially in the Western spaces, what a white mom can do is very different from what
Yes,
a
yes.
brown mom or a black mom can do. Of course, I am in a
Mm-hmm.
very privileged space here in India, just by virtue of my surname, and the virtue that I have. I'm English speaking and all of that. But yeah, so that was what I was looking for. So then I started looking at that idea. Then I was looking, okay, what is a tired mom to the AI, and then what is a working mom to an AI? What is a mom with a computer, which is basically me? What is a mom folding clothes? What is a mom?
So these questions, these are sets of questions that you would feed into the computer.
No, it's just me
or
internalizing first, and then you have
okay,
to describe it to the
all
AI.
right.
So like the more detailed the description, the more detailed the artwork comes out. But
Mm-hmm.
so for example, the new ones with the tentacles was very much like that. Like I'm looking at what does it mean. Like I feel like an octopus in some ways.
Yeah,
I feel.
because you
Yeah, you
do a
have to
lot
be
of
everywhere. Like
work.
ye bhi karna hai, wo bhi karna hai, ye bhi karna. So uh, so that was just what I started to describe to the AI. Okay, it should look like this. This is what. But now it's so advanced that some things it figures out on its own. And then
Okay.
like the style really makes a difference. So like the anime stuff, because in
Yeah.
anime tentacles are common, right? Those creatures are common. Especially in like the porn
Mm-hmm.
stuff and all. So whatever that data set it's feeding from, it was very easy for it to like develop uh, that kind of those tentacles out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it was not so easy to do it without that anime prompt. Also similarly, like when I've stopped using artist styles now because of all this kind of stress about all of this happening on the internet. But so like if I say by Amy Sherrill, it'll always give me a brown mom or like a black mom. But if I say Alice Neal, it'll give me mostly a white mom. But Alice's portraits are very like they have the sadness in them, whereas Amy Sherrill's portraits are very much about pride. So the people look very, stately, and they
Mm-hmm.
look very
Mm-hmm.
stoic. So that shows in the portrait. So the tired moms look, if made by Amy Sherrill, look different from Alice Neal in that way. Uh, and then those were things that I was trying to play with, like what does it mean for one style to build the mom versus another.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
if I use those regular AI जो लोग NFT वाला market करता है, उसमें मेरे mom comes with some armor and like very big boobs, and she looks beautiful, and she doesn't have a baby around her. So sometimes there's no mom, it just like shows me a woman, like there's nothing about her which is a very mom like image. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just a
Mm-hmm.
play of words. It's like how you are talking, like an art director talking to an artist. Like ऐसे बनाओ, do
Mm-hmm.
this, try this, don't do this, do that. So it, and you have to keep working on it. But what's interesting is that it has its own bias. So there's one piece which I haven't put out because I just feel like I don't know what to do with it. It's where I just said tired mom in a room, and then I tried to like animate it to tired mom on a big wasteland of toys, right? And that
Okay.
first tired mom is white, but when she's on the wasteland, she's become black. And I didn't do anything to it.
Okay.
I just changed the
Okay.
location. I didn't say
Uh,
white tired mom or black tired mom. I just said tired mom.
oh.
So syntactically, it's reading it in a certain way, which is very biased. And for me, that's interesting to see what are the peripheries of the data set rather than trying to build a perfect image. To
Mm-hmm.
be able
Mm-hmm.
to. And I think
Yeah, a lot of the time,
hmm, go ahead, go ahead.
uh, many times I also, when I'm researching or trying to figure out certain things through the internet, I sometimes feel like, okay, uh, the person who is putting it all this information also has a bias sense, like he or she might have like a way of looking at things, not in order to term it as a bias outlook, but then we have our likes and dislikes, right? And
Yes,
accordingly
exactly.
we try and project things, and like example, now you have this really recent face app. You see a lot of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and everyone is animating themselves and having different,
Yeah.
again you have a very different way of looking at things. It's always more focused on the beauty. The idea of beauty is very
Yes.
different also now in the animated
Yes.
world also. How lips and the eyes and all these things, that which is usually like not the reality, but then how people
Yeah.
perceive, and the person who is coding all these things, in order to have this outlook is also some way or the other
Yeah,
ऐसे
yeah.
हो जाता है ना.
हाँ, exactly.
मुझे
Like
लगता है ऐसे.
sometimes it's not so like, but that's the thing with bias and like things with racism and things like, or like casteism, that आप explicitly नहीं, you're not being explicit about it, but you're not
हम्म.
putting yourself in a position where you can have more knowledge about it to make
हम्म.
sure that that bias isn't embedded into your technology.
हम्म.
You know, because ठीक है मैं वाइट मेल हूँ, पर इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि मैं एस्थेटिक स्केल बनाता हूँ तो उसमें से विमेन ही दे शुड बी. सो व्हाट हैपेंस नाउ, सपोज आई टेल यू अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, सपोज आई से give me a painting that looks like Picasso's painting. Okay. And then I put a prompt, give me a
हम्म.
painting that
हम्म.
looks like Amy Sherrill's painting. In Picasso's painting, it may look a lot like a painting made by Picasso, but for Amy Sherrill, it will look like her. The reason is that what happens is that the first thing it picks up is the name of the person as a rule of thumb, and then it identifies the gender, and there is an aesthetic scale. And obviously, a portrait of the
Okay.
artist will have a higher aesthetic scale than the portrait itself, especially if it's done by someone who doesn't understand art history, right? So,
हम्म.
uh, so it's just like, yeah, if you go out on the street and talk to a technologist, tell no, not even a regular person, if you say, okay, name me two artists, will he be able to name KG Subramanian? Right? They
नहीं.
may name maybe Picasso Max, or like, I don't know,
हम्म.
somebody, maybe somebody Western, somebody they have seen a reference somewhere in
Yeah.
a book or can they, they can't even give you one like very famous Indian artist who's like literally set up an entire university. So, and that too in Baroda. That also I can claim very easily and say that, one techie sitting in Baroda will not. So that's the kind of like general like lack of knowledge we are working with, which is okay, like okay, not
हम्म.
everybody
हम्म.
knows. But if you're making an AI tool specifically for art, I feel that this is an inherent knowledge that you should have. Why should you not uh, like have that kind of already set into your data? So
हम्म.
anyway, but we can't help it. So now everyone is going for that very perfect look. Don't want extra hands, don't want it should look very like skin should tone should look really like
Yeah.
smooth
Yeah.
and even Lensa, I think the app you're talking about is the same. Like it makes you look really like beautiful in
Yeah.
that
I
very like
think,
like
बहुत
that's
ऐसे.
the
I mean, it's good to look at, but then just how oneself wants to project themselves,
exactly.
like out of all the options, how the
Exactly.
individual is choosing to
Yeah.
be shown. I think that also is very interesting in terms of the psychological
Oh yes.
view, like
Yeah.
कि लोग जिस बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं उसी हिसाब से वो लोग भी कुछ प्रोजेक्ट करना चाहता है,
बिल्कुल
like
बिल्कुल.
and not like judging them or anything. It's just interesting to see and try and understand, like how one uses these tools to express themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and and like maybe you could also give us some idea about, like, I know that you give workshops and things like that, and so maybe for the listeners, who knows, if there's some people interested in learning and they want to join your class, maybe that can
Oh,
be helpful for you and for them, so you can give some
yeah.
insights about.
Okay. So I have two sort of modes. One is very recent, but the recreating with P5JS is the sort of more practiced workshop that I give.
And that's like a beginner,
Yes,
like for
that's
total
total
beginner.
beginners and very much focused on
Okay.
artists or creators to come in. Because that's my own
Okay.
background. So I've developed the workshop in a way that it helps them to get accustomed to coding. And
Yeah, you had a recent, just few 1 week back, I think you had
yeah,
a session, right?
that
I
was
wanted to
for
join, but
AI.
then I did not have the cash, so I was like,
You
okay.
should have told me. It's fine. A lot of people join SE, so it's fine. I just put it up front because I know that people can pay, and I don't have any like
Okay.
I don't. I'm not a. a full-time staff member anywhere. I
No,
just
it
have
was
my own
pretty
practice.
reasonable also. I mean, ऐसा नहीं ये
No,
काफी,
no, it's okay. You should
because
ask. It's
usually it's
fine.
pretty expensive. I've seen, and
Yeah,
even to have conversation is also sometimes can be a challenge.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, please carry on
Yeah,
with like
so yeah, so I mean, so that is the coding workshop is the base, like very basic. You can come with no knowledge of coding. You just need a computer. Mostly I do that online, and it's very much focused on getting artists and creators and designers into understanding coding. Even if you don't do it as a regular thing, but just to embed it in your understanding and practice when you're working with technologists, how to do it. Because I think now you can't run away from that fact. Even if
yeah.
you say कि नहीं, I don't use at least some Illustrator, something you're using, na Google Docs, something. So why not just up that a little bit is what my thought is. So that is very embedded in art history, specifically with South Asian women artists. When we start with Nasreen Mohammadi's work, we go to Zarina's work,
Mm-hmm.
then some more new ones like Aisha Jatoi from Pakistan. So each person, based on their specialized style of art, we use to recreate, and we learn some aspects of coding with it. So with Nasreen's, we try to do, okay, how do you do like a plotted piece of work, like with lines and shapes and things. And with Zarina's work, we learn, okay, how do I use loops? So how do I do many of the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, which she likes to do a lot. Like she'll have something in a
Yeah.
circular form or something. Then we use Aisha's work to understand how to use text, because she does this text stamping kind of a work. Or say we look at Rana Begum in England. She does a lot of work with color, and so then like how do you keep learning a little bit more advanced stuff in the coding by using these artists' uh, works as inspiration
References.
and
Okay.
references. So what it also helps you to see is that art is just like Nasreen's work. Now I know like a lot of it by heart because done it so many times. And she used to keep a diary, and much of that diary was full of mathematical progressions.
Mm-hmm.
So that notion that a artist cannot know math or is poor at it, or like they are not good at science, or these are these are embedded in our education. It's not true. Like now I
Mm-hmm.
understand a lot of
Mm-hmm.
maths because of coding. I know how to do a spherical projection or what polar coordinates is, but like when I was in ninth standard, I didn't understand this at all. you know but now I'm like, acha, this is what they were trying to teach me and making me feel bad
Ah,
about it also. Like that,
yeah.
how did they do two of those things together?
Got it.
So that's what it is about. So like, how do you use that stuff? Like, how do you use simple things like sine, cos? Like, we look at Ranjini Shetter's work. For that, she has the very beautiful artwork with the waves in it.
Mm-hmm.
Or So we've been well, that's what I've been doing with that project. And we I think now I've taught more than 100 people, just individually through workshops
Wow.
and things like that. And It's very nice. It's like mixed group of people, all kinds, architects, artists, sometimes even coders, sometimes teachers. And my oldest student was 65. She was a maths gold medalist
Wow.
turned factory
Interesting.
owner. Now she's doing creative coding work. Amazing woman, like has two grown up kids who are one is an artist also. So it's very nice now. Her work is feeding back into her daughter's art practice, which is really cool. Like they are doing like
Okay.
some parametric sculptural paper related work. It's very nice.
Wow.
So that is one stream. Then now I'm trying to do more things with AI. So like PoseNet, which I think you've learned of in BF,
Mm-hmm.
to look at poses and how to do it together with poetry. So for me, I don't have any movement or dance background. So I was like, how can I make this interesting to teach people? And I thought, okay, now COVID is over, and it's about togetherness. So you're coming together. So it's just like, okay, there's a little bit of poetry happening because two people brought their hands together or whatever. They did a high five, or they like did a leg high
Yeah.
five or something silly like that. So just to like friendly, simple, uh, silly failure kind of formats to be able to learn and access ideas of technology. Then so now of course it's this AI, renegade AI, which is basically like looking at the peripheries of these data sets. So how can you
Okay.
get interesting works out of that? So we start very simply with like thinking about a sentence for the prompt, which is about a person that you care about, and think of them in a situation, think of them in a style, and all of that. So we slowly build it, and then we keep prompting the machine to see what it gives us. So that's where we have
Mm-hmm.
been at. Wait, 1 second, I think I have to mute for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry. So my mom is not in town, so I'm just like getting
Okay.
everybody sorted out. Yeah, so that is what the AI, renegade AI stuff is. It's more like just understanding the language of this prompting business and really like
Mm-hmm.
knowing where you can stand in it without becoming an NFT bro. Sorry.
Yeah, this NFT time period was super crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
had a lot of, right, artist people, we all meet at chai shops. Here in Baroda, it's a dry state, so you don't have pubs, nothing. And so chai laris are the place where you find all. And yeah, every time people would be like, hey, Tenzin, you have just started out doing some music and doing some generative stuff. So why don't you do this NFT thing, and अरे बाबा नहीं करना है यार ये it's I mean it was a huge thing at the time, but then you still don't feel like कि इसमें करना चाहिए या करना है,
Yeah.
my god, like अभी तो कम हो गया है NFT and all
हाँ.
this. I think people
Yeah.
started realizing how you just take a image from anywhere, you do a small change, and then suddenly it becomes yours,
Mm.
and a lot of issues there, I think, you
Yeah.
know copyright ka and all this. And with internet here, it's so, like, I think it is, the artwork can be vulnerable at that time,
Yeah.
kabhi kabhi
Artists
it's out
also.
there. Yeah. And privacy, the right to privacy and all these come into play. I think it's pretty
It's
sometimes,
yeah, it's a bit. I mean, I think Hassan is the one to know the game best because he really understands AI a lot.
mhm.
In terms of all this. But I really found that it seemed very much like a pyramid scheme to me, and now I can say it very openly. That time I was being a bit quiet about it. But I mean, those who are benefiting are benefiting. But there are some honest
Yeah.
people also. Some big artists are also doing it.
Yeah,
Like
Jeff
even
Koons
Zach
and all
Lieberman
this.
and all are putting. Raphael de Courville, he's putting. He's amazing. I met him also. He's a really nice guy. So
Okay.
it's not always like that market of like toxic people who are doing it. A lot of good people are also in that sector, but I still have my skepticism about it. And already, like you by using AI, I don't know how much like climate pushback I'm doing, and then ऊपर से NFT mint करने का और कंप्यूटर यूज करने का और बेबी होने का और having a baby itself is a very big climate impact.
Yes.
So then I decided, okay, something I should stop. So I just didn't get into this. And I think it's the same. It's like you have to market yourself to the gallery, and the gallery is pushing your work here also. It's like that you're marketing yourself in some Discord channel somewhere, you know, and you're pushing your work. So in that sense, I get it. I am like, okay, वहाँ हसल कर रहे हो, यहाँ हसल कर रहे हो, बात वही है. बट यही
Mm-hmm.
है कि
Mm-hmm.
रिस्क भी ज्यादा है. वर्ल्ड इट्स अननोन, सो मच ब्लैक बॉक्स, no transparency
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. But they claim transparency that, oh, now you will get royalty and all. So many people are being fooled also. Mint on my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
website, and they are taking the artwork away. I don't know. I just don't understand
And
the game, and I just decided to be very quiet about it because I just don't get it. Like what's happening, what it means. Like I have to continue my journey of expressing ideas of
yeah,
care,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not giving me that space. So why should I bother? वही
Mm-hmm.
बात है.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So it's just that. And like places like P5, yes, like the Processing Foundation fellowship I did, it was so amazing. Like imagine getting funding to do streams where I'm just having fun coding with my friends. Like it was amazing. Like I felt like, oh wow, this is like validating my practice by allowing me to do
Yeah, I saw.
something.
I
uh,
saw. Like they were also just recently. Also, they had announced that there's a fellowship.
the sound
I thought
one.
I'll apply, but then I did not. I have not done so much work. So there was like, कि हाँ यार मेरे पास इतना experience अभी नहीं है. I still have to work on it. Like,
हाँ
yeah,
हाँ, ऐसा
yeah,
नहीं
man.
सोचना,
Like,
अप्लाई करना,
so
डोंट थिंक सो मच.
okay, okay.
Now you are 29, you
I
have
mean,
enough work.
yesterday also I was having conversation with a friend, sculptor from Ladakh, and तो उसने मुझे ऐसे बोला, he just told me like, see Tenzin, we all do many things, but you need to start picking one thing because you know it's good to. And he thought I would say, okay, I'm going to not do coding and everything and go back to sculpture. I think that's what he was expecting. But then
Oh,
I told him, see, as a since childhood, I've always been this experimental person. If I'm in the mountains, then I'll be with the mountains. I'll use whatever I can at that time. I'll go in the jungle. I'll make some with wood and everything, whatever organic materials I get. I'll make something there. If I'm in the ocean side, I'll also do something there. But with technology, it's always with me. So whenever I travel with my equipments and I travel with my tattoo machine. So I know that
sorry.
I can do a jam session somewhere. I can play some music or I can do some tattoo, wall painting, whatever it is. I can get my income. I'll do that. It's not a problem. So for him it was like कि, यार तुम सोच लो यार, तुम अच्छा sculpture करते हो ऐसे. Then I asked him like, the relationship between when we talk about space, because with sculpture we usually have a lot of conversation about the form in relation to the space, right? Environment. तो मैंने उसको बोला कि when you translate this form not in a physical form, but then like in terms of like hearing sounds, it's very different. The idea of architectural space and the environment, landscape, whatever it is. And so I want to use those sounds to maybe interpret the kind of environment that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did understand a little bit, but then I was like कि रहने देना यार, अभी I'm still exploring and I want to keep that it, because it's interesting for me, and I want to still explore. So I don't want to be like अभी मैं almost 30 हूँ तो I have to be
हाँ, no,
in
no,
this direction. No, I don't want to have this sort of limitations for myself at least.
don't.
And yeah, and I think talking with you today early in the morning, I think that very inspiring for me.
So sweet,
And
thank you.
especially the idea of mother, because uh, uh, this is something that I was never like comfortable sharing with people, and but in recent times I've been talking a lot because of the podcast, and I mean, I am like introvert. I normally don't interact much with people, but then because of this podcast, this media allows me to have this one-on-one conversation, and you 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 feel comfortable also because uh, and then there's so many things you can also share, personal things also. And like I see my mom, I was adopted, so my siblings and I were adopted, and my mom's from Germany, but she settled in McLeodganj in Himachal. So I'm a Himachali, and seeing her taking care of all of us by herself, it has always been a very big challenge. And especially me being the black sheep in the family, I was always the rebellious one. And I left my home when I was in my school time. So I at that time, because maybe I was a teenager, and as an artist, days maybe I was selfish, and I'm still very selfish, but I wanted to find my own way. I did not understand a lot of the things that my mother had in mind, and she would share. But the aspect of always having the support for doing art and music, it's only now in the recent times that I've started talking back. I've started communicating with her, and we actually do have a lot of good conversations now. When she was in Amsterdam, uh, every day she goes try and makes time to go and visit this museums, and sending all the photos. Like, she'll go to the museum and picking pictures of all the paintings and then sending it to me, and it's very how you have mentioned, mothers, when even though they're somewhere else, still in their back of their head they have this mind, like, what's my child doing, you know
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and even after 30 years, becoming now 30, my mom's like, you're still my kid.
Oh yes.
I know what you, and if I know
Oh
you are
yes.
not in a position to come to Amsterdam yet, but then at least let me send you all the paintings that I have. And like, five 200 300
Oh
images
my
like
God,
just
so
coming
sweet.
in my so my mom's like,
That's
which one
very
do you
sweet.
like? I think that's a very important and factor that you
Yeah.
had shared in our session, which I really want to be thankful for, because you know
Thanks for sharing
sometimes we
about your
have to
life.
be
It's so nice.
reminded also of what family is, and
Yeah.
with all this technology, still we shouldn't forget
Yeah.
about our families and the people who have
Yeah.
always the human
Connection.
aspect.
Yeah. No, and I
Yeah, I
understand it's
think
difficult for artists because naturally you are living on your own and you have to build your own network. So, sometimes it's very
it's
isolating,
so
but with I have to like compulsorily
yeah,
be
it's
around people.
fascinating. It's fascinating because in the morning when I woke up, and I thought this conversation would be like very technical, and I was not so much into like technical things, like I
Yeah.
still am very new to all these things. So I was wondering, like, should I do some research and then ask her questions? I was like,
Oh,
no, no, no. And this session actually turned out to be something else, like totally something
I'm
else, and
happy. I'm glad.
very interesting. And
Yeah.
I really want to thank you,
Thank you for having me. It was a
Computational
good
Mamaji,
fun.
and
Gee, you're calling me.
and I
Thanks.
think we will be and I think we'll be in touch, because
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm also a learner. So, and I think
Oh, for sure.
your
Yeah.
guidance will be mean a lot,
No, no, you
and
guide me now in touch designer. I've been
share the
trying to
word.
learn for so long. You guide me because I just don't
Yeah, even
understand the software. It's like
Hassan
difficult.
and I, we were also like talking about it, and he showed me a few things that he was trying to do in touch design,
Hmm.
and me, I was also, because I'm um approaching it in from the sound aspect,
Hmm.
because I do a lot of work in Ableton. So I do compositions, and I mainly work with digital music, but then yes, I have also started now working with acoustic sounds. So in that way I'm trying to like go from that side, like
Hmm.
I don't know, like the coding side, but then using my tracks and my live playing, I'm trying to and use a mic, things like that. So yeah, I think this is we'll conclude this session here,
Yeah.
and
Do what you want. Yeah. Don't be bogged down by
the
30. My mom, she did her PhD at 59. She finished. Took her 10
wow,
years. But then I thought to myself, okay, na, everybody has their own timing. Somebody
yeah,
is becoming an
yeah,
artist before 30, good for them. Let them come in Forbes 30 and
yeah,
above. It's up to them, not we'll do our own thing. Right? Just and that's very rare, like to be able to continue learning. Like Hassan, I just am so amazed. Like he's a self-learner for so many years, like since his school days.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's not been to college, right? So I find that really amazing, like that to keep that spirit going is not easy.
Yeah,
It's easy to be like, okay,
exactly.
let's get into a job and okay, like that's it, khatam, life is over now, like but to be like this free spirited is good. You should continue it. Okay, yeah, you'll have to earn money, of course, to live, to survive, to look after your mummy when she's older. but but don't have to like like quit your joys
And
because of that.
would you suggest like for people like me, it is important to be in Bangalore? Because I've heard, I've been like trying to communicate with a lot of people, and they always mention कि यार तुम ऐसा काम कर रहे हो तो एक बार बैंगलोर चले जा. But
यार ये तो तुम
I
हसन से
don't know
पूछो.
anyone.
ही विल नो बेटर.
Hassan भी तो Hassan also
वो
he
तो
has
गोवा में
come
ना.
to Goa now. Now he shifted
हाँ.
back. हाँ.
टॉप बिकॉज देख मेरा तो
So he
एक
was
तो माई
like yeah.
ट्रेजेक्ट्री इज लिटिल डिफरेंट ना. बिकॉज एक तो आई कांट गो
Mm-hmm,
एनीवेयर.
mm-hmm.
But I spent
Yeah.
time in Bangalore when I was not into tech at all. Like I had a regular job as a museum
Okay.
person. तो ऐसे तो मस्त
Mm-hmm.
जगह है, वो सब टेंशन नहीं है, और मौसम भी अच्छा है. But this art and tech stuff, I don't know what is the scene like. Is it better to be in Delhi, or I'm just so
Okay.
like clueless about all this. But
Okay.
maybe he'll give you a better
All right.
perspective on that. Do you know
All right.
Padmanabhan Beatnik?
Bitnik, no, like
I'll send you
I
his
think
profile.
on Dhara में
He was
शायद
also
लिखा है
in the
क्या?
Whale Tales team. Uh, with
Okay, I was in Tree of Life, and
Yeah,
our
I remember
group,
that project. It was very nice. It's like
our group was like Tree of Life. तो यार अंदर ही group members में बहुत झमेला हो गया था.
अरे वो होता
Like
है यार.
one person wanted to do so many things, but then it was not possible.
Yeah.
We had to, and
Maybe the group
and I
should have
was
been
like, I
smaller,
think,
I think, no? थोड़ा बड़ा था group
yeah,
सबका.
I think,
So maybe that
yeah,
would have helped. I don't know. 'Cause we had smaller groups in our cohort, 3 people, 2 people, like that.
okay.
So and of course I was very lucky that my two ones from Germany, they were very enterprising, little bit older also. So I got to learn a lot from them.
Mm-hmm.
बहुत कितना और कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज करना
Okay.
है, आर्ट वर्क को कैसे लेके जाना है, शोकेस करना है, ऑल दैट which I didn't have such first hand knowledge of as an artist. So it was very good.
Mm-hmm,
कि
mm-hmm,
बट या
mm-hmm.
डेफिनेटली दैट सेंस ऑफ कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ वन थिंग ना, कि एक आइडिया है उसको थोड़ा कंटिन्यू करो, वो जरूरी है.
Okay.
Because today you may get
Yes.
10,000 rupees for it, tomorrow you might get 10,000 USD for it. You know, ठीक
Mm-hmm,
है, you do
mm-hmm.
10 other things on the side, that doesn't matter. But people,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically that's how they build faith. कि चलो किसी ने इसको 1,000 रुपए दिए तो मैं इसको अब 5,000 दे सकता हूँ. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that okay, someone took faith in this project, or they did it on their own up till now, so they may benefit from doing this rather than a
Yeah.
totally new idea. So even with
Mm-hmm,
Coding with
mm-hmm.
Friends fellowship, that helped me. That I had an entire one season done with so many viewers, so many
All right.
minutes of viewing. So it was easy for them to say, okay, she's already done it, so let's like give her this little bit of incentive to do another session. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should do that, like have some, just say this podcast. Now you've done so many of them. So say suppose
Yeah.
you channel some idea around it and then push for it. Okay, can you fund it? You may get that. I've already done so many episodes.
All
So
right.
like that. Anyway, all the best. You can message me
Yeah.
anytime you need anything.
I recently approached few galleries, with Kochi Binale and Serendipity Art
Huh.
Fair happening. I emailed them like, if you want to fund and support, I'll be ready to mention the name of the gallery in my podcast as a sponsor and things like that. But yeah, man, like it's still very new, and
Yeah.
let's see where
They
it
want
takes.
थोड़ा फ्लैशी
कोई बात
शैशी
नहीं.
चाहिए ना सबको. तो ये कि कुछ ब्रांड
Yeah,
होना चाहिए,
yeah.
लाइक कुछ ऐसे ऐसे वाला फोटो लगा हुआ है. नॉनसेंस. You just like, I think if you start getting that owner, like कि कितने listeners हैं and all that ना, then I think that may help also.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, and I think you should try
All right.
funding online. I feel it will work. Because मेरा भी तो मैं वर्कशॉप खुद ही
Okay.
करती हूँ ना. ठीक है यार, चलो
Mm-hmm.
गैलरी मुझे 10 दे रही थी, मैं 5 ही ले रही हूँ, बट एटलीस्ट काम तो बढ़ रहा है, पैसे कुछ तो आ रहे हैं. तो अब मैं उस
Yeah,
एटीट्यूड से ही ले
yeah.
लेती हूँ उसको. Then later you're confident that
ठीक
I've
है.
done it on my own, so you better pay me this much. But see, this kind of
Yeah.
bullishness I have now because I'm a mom. पहले मैं ऐसी नहीं थी, मैं भी ऐसे डाउट मारती रहती थी, ये सही है नहीं है, like. अब मुझे लगता है यार स्कूल की फीस के लिए भी तो बचाना है. पहले से कर लो, थोड़ा सा आगे वाले को चाबी भरो. तो हाँ
Okay.
बहुत पर्सपेक्टिव तो चेंज हो जाता है बट इट्स लाइक ठीक है इट्स फाइन आई एम श्योर सम अदर वे पर्सपेक्टिव विल चेंज फॉर यू आल्सो anyway now you'll be inspired to talk to your mom whenever she gets up if it's
Yes.
time yet.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you
Chalo.
very much.
All right,
And
thank you for
yes,
inviting me.
Ambika, we'll end this session here. And thank you very much for
Cool.
agreeing on this.
Thank you, thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
early in the morning. And if anybody or listeners you want to follow Ambika, you can follow her on her Instagram page, Facebook, Computational Mama, and computational underscore mama, sorry.
Yes.
And you can also, if you want to join her workshops and other activities that she sometimes provides, you can is it buy me coffee,
Yeah,
buy me
it's but
coffee
mostly just like
page, right?
Instagram updates. I'll just tell you when it's
Yeah,
happening.
so you just can follow her on Instagram and you'll get the updates. And yeah, if you have any questions, suggestions, you can email me at my email ID tenzingopal@gmail.com, and please do follow my other pages as well. And yes, thank you and see you in the next session. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Namaste. Have a good day. And yeah, we'll end the.
Cool, yeah. I think I'm supposed to leave the tab open, right? For the uploading. So I will do leave
Okay,
and then
so
you'll have to stop the recording.
okay. So I stop the recording.
Huh.